Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Hurt. I am with the NRW, where nerds rule the world, and I am so happy to introduce you to Kevin Parr, the co-creator of DiceCream Sandwich. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, DiceCream Sandwich is my username online for all the D&D TikTok and Instagram creators video meme stuff that I do. But our Twitch channel and kind of like the brand of DiceCream was kind of co-created between me and my friend Jody Rose.
And tell me where that, let's look at the history of that. Where did DiceCream Sandwich come from?
So our journey into like making like D&D content started right there on that table behind me in my living room. It started off with me and my friend Jordy, who he's a DM, and at that time I just played like one game like with him, like maybe like a year or two prior. And through our love of watching actual plays on Twitch and everything, we were like, hey, why don't we just like record our game on Twitch for fun, just to see what happens, like no expectations, no nothing. So he wanted to run a Curse of Strahd game. Mm-hmm. This is like fall 2018. So we got a group of friends of ours at that table over there and set things up really crudely. Like, I think we ran it off his laptop and like we used our cell phones for webcams and like things like that. We put it on like a Facebook page because we're like, just for our close friends to watch. But then eventually went to Twitch. And then, we did that for, God, like a year and a bit or so. And in that time, like the name DiceCream Sandwich came up, used that as the name for like the group, the Instagram that we built and everything. Had a blast playing with our friends and grew like a small little community and grew our Instagram channel by like talking to other smaller creators and doing like collab giveaways with each other and just helping hype each other up. And then as time went on, eventually we got into the pandemic, like you do, like everyone else did. But that time I started doing content on TikTok, and then that started like popping off a bit, making like meme videos and just fun videos about the game and situations that happen in the game, just kind of celebrating TTRPG as a whole. And then it wasn't until like in the beginning of 2020, like almost like March, April, started doing one shots with other D&D TikTok creators, and the medium is still fairly new at that time. D&D creators on that platform is fairly new at that time, and a lot of these creators were amassing very big audiences, and none of them had really seen them play the game before. So me and my friend Jody Rose thought, well, why don't we make like a series of one-shots? Nobody's doing anything right now. Everyone's locked inside their apartments. And we created the series of one-shots that kind of just brought the community together and showcased a lot of them playing the game and creating all these amazing characters. And we made a fun story. And it really raised our profile on us as creators. And then, cut to a couple years later, the channel just kept on growing and got invited to do shows at Gen Con and events like D&D in a Castle, where we got flown out to England to run games for people. All these amazing sponsorships from all these TTRPG companies that I've loved forever, wanting to do like collab posts and promotions and things like that. And to now I'm a content producer for a YouTube studio that makes high quality D&D content with like crazy cameras and editing and costume department and all this stuff. So it's been a whirlwind, to say the least.
I might get some pointers from you after this. I'm slowly building my TikTok and it's not going that well. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, that's incredible. It's really amazing to see D&D explode in the way it has over the past, 10, 15 years. Especially through social media. And unfortunately, thank you to the pandemic, we had a surplus of people just try out the gaming world, and it's absolutely, congratulations. That's incredible. Let's talk about your YouTube, the new show that started on the 31st, correct?
So that was on the Questline YouTube, the D&D studio from A Filthy Lot Productions. This is their show that I had a wonderful opportunity of being kind of like a producer on, and the DM, and helping them kind of create this story using the Dragonlance sort of campaign book as a guide. We kind of condensed the whole campaign into 4 sessions to just highlight that world, because I'm a big Dragonlance fan. I love the novels. And this was my first sort of debut doing a studio created production as a DM. Like, literally felt like going from zero to hero. Like, as a fan of someone who's watched all these amazing actual plays, who have their own studios and high quality productions, like just like getting the opportunity to play on Gen Con and all that, I was like, one day I would love to do like a studio production, like all of, the people I've watched over the years. And now I finally got to do it. It's over on the Questline YouTube channel. The first session went live on Twitch on January 31st. So now you can watch that on their YouTube now as well. It's uploaded there. And then we're doing the next 3 episodes every Tuesday. So it's a 4-session sort of event. So we have the next session 2 coming up on their Twitch that goes live at 5 p.m. PST. So the next one's going to be Tuesday, February 7th. And then we'll be on the next 2 Tuesdays after that and upload to their YouTube right after.
That is awesome. So tell me about the company that you work for separately then.
Yeah. So Questline is sort of the D&D brand for A Filthy Lot Productions. They're an amazing content studio that's located here in Vancouver, BC, where I'm from. Especially somebody who lives in sort of Western Canada, there's not a lot of like opportunities to like go into that world living out here. Like, a lot of those places sort of live in LA, California, places like that. So having kind of collaborated with them a bit in the past, we always toss around the idea of me coming on board and producing a couple of games with all their fun toys and their amazingly talented staff and departments and everything. Because these guys have everything. Like, they have a film department, costumes, props, minis, everything. And it's so beautiful what they are able to create. They have a flagship show that they launched kind of the beginning of the pandemic called Ready to Roll, which is this insane high quality cinematic D&D actual play where they just put all the bells and whistles on it. They have music, they have sound effects. They made like vignettes of their campaign. Like, they took specific scenes of their campaign and did like full on movie makeup with them on a studio set with like castle walls and costumes. Like, it is stunning. It's a beautiful story and a great production. And they got a little kneecapped with launching it during the pandemic, obviously. And with myself coming on board, they're looking to launch like their next wave of content, with that Ready to Roll show being like one of their flagship shows. That they really wanted to continue doing more one-shots, more miniseries, and really collaborate with some of the best talents in that industry. So Questline's been an amazing production, an amazing company to work with. And they want to sort of let the industry know that there's another high quality studio to come and film really great productions with. And they want to do more systems other than D&D as well, like Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, City of Mist. They really want to celebrate the whole TTRPG scene industry as a whole and give a lot of those game companies a chance to really get that high quality product that maybe they haven't had the opportunity to before. So this series that we've done with this 4-part series, it's Dragonlance, it's D&D. We had a lot of amazing creators come to be a part of this story, from Luis Carrazzo, who was on Critical Role EXU Calamity, has done a lot of other great productions. Michelle Bradley, who's also been a part of, is a huge part of the TTRPG scene, has been on so many amazing projects. And we had Tank Tolman, who's a great Viking Viking TikTok cosplayer, who's also great and has his own gym fitness app and really puts forward a positive vibe into the community and wants everyone to feel good about themselves, and very inspirational. And Quincy's Tavern, who also amazing creator, talented storyteller, has built a wonderful community around being this persona of being a fantasy tavern owner, and gives words of encouragement to people who come to his page, and does it in this POV way where you feel like he's talking directly to you. And all these creators are just wonderful storytellers, and I was so honored and privileged that they wanted to come with me on this journey and be a part of my debut for a studio story. So yeah.
That's awesome. And can confirm Quincy's Tavern, for those viewers that we have, definitely go follow him on TikTok if you need like a good moment of your day.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful moment. All right, let's kind of veer away from D&D. What other games are you, I know that's such a hard thing to do. What other games would you like to talk about? Like what, Call of Cthulhu is so much fun. What other things do you take part in?
Yeah, so I am currently, obviously a big elephant in the room when we're talking about D&D, this whole OGL situation that recently happened, which, those of you who are inundated in the tabletop gaming space have probably heard of it. For those in the nerd sphere that aren't close to it, maybe they don't know. Long story short, D&D, there was this whole OGL, open gaming license drama that happened where the company kind of tried to put a bit of a stranglehold on the product of D&D and tried to cut out third-party creators a little bit. And it caused a lot of friction within the community because the third-party creators really, were a big shining light in how D&D raised its profile over the last few years, from people like Critical Role, Dimension 20, creating their own stories using D&D as a medium, and many other creators who make items and maps and all kinds of tools for the game that the Wizards of the Coast, the game that the business that operates and owns D&D, don't have the capacity to put out as much. So it caused a lot of friction in the space, and it sent a lot more highlight on other systems. And for myself, like, I've been wanting to get into other systems for a long time. D&D was my first foray into the TTRP space, but like myself and many others, we're all kind of starting to go to other systems and try stuff out and see what's out there. And right now, you can see on this video, I currently am holding Pathfinder 2E core rulebook in my hand. So I've been very much doing heavy research on the Pathfinder system, learning how it works. It's been so cool and interesting to see all the differences between that and D&D. So I'm hoping to run some games with that soon and put those on either my own DiceCream Twitch channel, which I have, which we run games on, or maybe another high quality production with Questline next. I also have the Call of Cthulhu starter set on the table over there that I'm eager to dive into, because I played in one game of Call of Cthulhu. That was great. But I haven't had the chance to like run a game or do like a longer sort of campaign with it. So those are the two ones I want to do next, but there's so many on the list. Like I mentioned earlier, City of Mist, which is a great like superhero RPG. There's Warhammer 40K has its own tabletop role-playing game. That's a new world that I've sort of gotten into lately and really want to dive into. Lord of the Rings has One Ring. That is another great system that I want to try. So like there's a lot to choose from. But right now I've been really into Pathfinder and really digging it. Otherwise, I'm pretty avid board gamer. Like I love board games. I got a few stacked up there behind me. Been loving playing. Like I just started getting into the Ravensburger Gargoyles board game. Yeah, it's great. And I played just recently. I got Seven Wonders Dual Edition. Yeah, Seven Wonders Dual Edition, which is a 2-player specific game, and that's fantastic. So yeah, I've been playing a lot more, other than D&D, been playing a lot more board games in general. But as far as other tabletop RPG systems, I haven't had the chance to really dive into a lot of them. But lately, it's all been about Pathfinder, and I've been loving going into that system, the variety that it has, the differentiating that it has in different rules, and the character creation system that's just so expansive, and you have so many choices to really mold what you want. Yeah, been loving that a ton.
Absolutely. Pathfinder is, the character options are just so much. There's not going to side on either side, but Pathfinder has the character development that we need in D&D, because D&D has the world development. So it's like, if we could have them married.
Yeah. It's been interesting to go into like their lore as well, because I believe their world's called Amsalon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've been slowly catching up on what that lore is. I've more been trying to wrap my head around like the mechanics of the game and the character creation part. I do have a few adventure paths. Right now, I don't know if you've heard about this Humblewood promotion that's been going on. It's a charity drive initiative, and they have various game systems attached to it. Basically, there's like a tier system of what you'd like to donate, and in exchange, you get an insane amount of books and products for a reasonably good price. Like Other game systems are a part of it, but Paizo just joined it, the company that owns Pathfinder. And for $35 Canadian, so it's like $25 US, you get $400 worth of product. You get like all these PDFs. There's like the core rule book system, tons of adventure paths, like maps, minis that you can print out, all this stuff. So it's been amazing to see all of these other systems get a big spotlight in the wake of all of this stuff. And our channel would be nowhere without third-party creators. It was literally how we kind of came up in the ranks, by collaborating with people who are kind of smaller creators like us, and many people who make those maps or make those items and minis. And I'm really excited to go on these different systems moving forward, because that opens up just another whole spec of other smaller creators or third-party people that maybe I haven't even seen yet, that make Pathfinder stuff, that make stuff for Call of Cthulhu, that we hopefully get to collaborate. Because that's really what the DiceCream brand is, about anything. I think one big tenet of that is trying to find those creators out there who are maybe on the smaller side and try to raise awareness of their stuff.
Absolutely. And supporting small is always the most important thing. Like, support small game stores, comic shops that sell games, like all that stuff. Absolutely here for it. All right, we're going to go a little bit back a step. Let's talk about, so you've been DMing for about 6-7 years, I think you said?
So I've been playing D&D probably for that long. I've only really, the first time I DM'd, well, not the first time, but like I think when I streamed myself DMing, that was like the second or third time I've ever DM'd. Like, it has been quite the game of catch up, let's say, from like getting into the role of being a DM, which for me is pretty fairly new, at the acceleration rate of doing it in such a public stage in front of so many people. Because I have a background in acting and theater. Like, I've been a performer since I was 16. So I very much am comfortable being in front on the stage, on camera. And then when I found this game of D&D and, discovering that can be such an amazing, not an entertainment module, but like just an amazing vehicle to write and tell stories, I just became obsessed with it. So it wasn't too long. I was a player for a couple years before I started taking the DM seat. But right when I think I did like 1 or 2 games, and then we did that stream of one-shots during the pandemic. And then that led into me doing campaign, that led me getting invited, doing events and doing it live. And, it's been crazy. It's just been insane. Someone up there is, doing me some favors, because I just, every year you look at the stuff that I've been able to do, the people I've been able to create with, I'm just so incredibly grateful that I get these opportunities and get the chance to, tell my stories in front of a larger audience. Even though I haven't really been DMing like that long, there are people out there who've been DMing for like 10, 15 years and have been doing it forever and know everything and are way better world builders and story builders or storytellers than I am. But I guess I keep getting these opportunities for a reason. So as long as people want to come see me tell my weird, hilarious stories, sad boy stories, whatever you want to call them, I'll be there. But yeah, I've only been DMing really since like 2020, I want to say.
Okay. Well, that's great. One of the wonderful things about RPG in general is that you have these opportunities to grow not only your knowledge, not only your characters, but yourself. And I've got to say, I've tried DMing and I'm terrible. I am so bad at it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into DMing and feeling good about it. I mean, like I still have moments where I'm like, man, that could have been better, or I misread that situation. I gave this person a moment to shine, but I missed that person. It's like I just think, like any creative arts, performing arts, you're going to walk away from something never feeling 100% satisfied, no matter how well it went. And I still deal with that to this day. And I think I took the DM seat really well because I had like a background in a few different areas that kind of made it maybe a bit more accessible to me as a creative and as a person. Because not only did I have the performing background, but then I shifted away from that when it started going into digital marketing and getting into social media content and taking on a hat of doing digital marketing for various businesses and companies and learning to kind of work with a team of people and making sure everyone was heard, and, you know, that multitasking side that really I developed for a while before I started getting into the DM seat. So yeah, it's a hard gig and it's not for everyone for sure. But just to any, you know, any DMs or GMs that are listening to this right now that may be having those moments of self-doubt or self-criticism after you leave a table, like, trust me, it happens to everyone. I still go through it. Like, we just did our finale for Dragonlance, a pre-record literally yesterday, and it was a huge moment for me as a creative, and you know, finishing that project. And we did, like, you know, for those of them people listening to this that might have seen it already, or for those that are interested, like, the team at Questline went all out with like set deck and music and lighting and makeup. And like the finale of Dragonlance, I don't want to spoil anything, but I am in like some crazy makeup. Like, took like an hour and a half to put on me. And leaving that session, like, still I was like, oh man, I should have included this. Like, because, you know, you work within a time frame, at least you try to work within a time frame, you know, because the players there, they also got busy schedules and they gotta, you know, got places to be. So you try your best to keep on track and keep on time, but still there's times where I'm like, man, like, I went a bit too long there, or there's some lore that I wanted to leave in, or this character moment that I wanted to include, but you can't put in everything. So you just got to do your best and know that, you know, you're doing a job that's very difficult. You're trying to tell a story in a satisfying way and please not only the 4 or 6 players at the table, but like, if you do stream or put it online, like an entire audience that's watching. So don't be so hard on yourself out there.
There you go. And make sure you tell that if you have more than 6 people, that you tell them to stop and talk to the NPCs, just saying they can help you out. Sorry, going into personal experience. Oh my gosh. Stop and talk to NPCs. Don't light them on fire.
Yeah, a lot of people like things on fire. That's definitely, yeah, that seems to be a big plus for a lot of people. I mean, I'm just speaking of Jordy Rose, he's running a home game right now for a couple of us, and there was a part where he ran a scenario recently where he took us through a forest and set up all these like landmarks for us to like possibly check out. But there's a storyline where there was like a rival adventuring party also going towards where we're going. Like, it's like, who can get there first? And us being competitive jerks, we're like, no, we don't care about all these landmarks. We're going right there because we want to beat him. He's like, but all the stuff that I wanted you to see.
It's on fire. It's fine. It's fine. We had a very similar case where we were looking through an abandoned like town, and there was rooms full of zombies and spiders, and we had a wizard who just had a real bad fire bug problem, and so we wouldn't even get in the room and it'd already be lit on fire. We're like, what? Can we? Okay, fine. Anywho, sorry.
We'll cut that out. That was just a tangent. That was fine.
No. This is fun. This is fun. One of the great things about D&D is you can get on these fun tangents and then completely lose yourself and forget that you were in a game for 3.5 hours. So let's talk about being a new DM in general. What are your suggestions for new DM for people who are getting into the game who want to try DMing?
Yeah, well, there's a few different roads I feel like you can take. Like, there's some people who want to do it at a certain level, you know, do it either professionally or want to run it in a very serious way. And it really does depend on the players you have at the table too. Like, what kind of DM do you want to be? Do you want to just be a DM who's just casual? You don't do the voices. You don't worry about playing music when you're doing it. You're just you and your friends, and you're eating snacks, having drinks, and just, you know, going along with a fun story and being casual. And if that's a DM you want to be, then that's awesome. You should be that type of DM. There's no right way to, you know, go and tell these stories or run these games. And if you want to be the casual DM, then yeah, it's like, I find visual mediums really helpful when learning new things. So I'll suggest to people go and watch like a Critical Role or Dimension 20 or any actual play show, just to get a sense of like what it's like to run the game, and what the rules mean and how certain people sort of enact those rules and at what points in the game and things like that. And then at the end of the day, there's only so much reading and watching it too. You just got to jump into it. Just got to do it. And maybe, you know, just find like a really easy one shot to do. I remember telling someone earlier just like in the week, who asked a similar question. I'm like, if the role-playing side of it, or like setting up a one-shot with all these different parts, like kind of gives you anxiety, just set up a combat. Like, give a little bit of the story as to why the combat happens. Like, describe your players like walking down a dirt road, they see like a cart overturned, and like a kobold comes out and says, "Oh no, my cart fell out, can you help me?" But it's a trap. And then like a giant like winged griffin comes down and you fight him, and then that's it. And like, that can be your first time trying to run something that's really easy and doesn't require a lot of parts. You just like set up a fight and come up with just like a story of why you're doing that fight. Done and done. But for others who are looking to do like the more dramatic storytelling, those who are maybe actors or writers or whatever, and they really want to get into the job of being a GM and putting that dramatic spin on it, or take it seriously, then yeah, I would still say, watch those actual play shows, because they really do give you a good context of not only the varieties of styles there is to play a game. Like, the style that Matt Mercer plays in Critical Role is really different from how Brendan Lee Mulligan plays, how it's different from Abria Iyengar runs her games, so on and so forth. So you get an idea of like what kind of styles are out there, and maybe what kind of style fits for you, or gives you an idea of how you want to run your game. And then finding players who also want to take part in that more dramatic side, people who are really into RP, or maybe people who are actors or performers who enjoy, the dramatic side or the comedic side, and like telling stories in that way. Because there's nothing worse than if you're somebody who wants to be the GM and you want to run it like a movie or a film or a comedy, and take the role playing seriously, and you get like your good friends together and they're like just drinking beers and they're not taking it very seriously, you can feel very frustrated. So I think setting up an environment where everyone's kind of in on the same tone, like they all want to tell the story the same sort of way, is really important. So I've gotten DMs from certain individuals who like try to GM or try to start DMing, and they're like, I kind of want to run a fun, serious game with like good role play, but I try to include my best friends, but they just don't take it seriously, and they don't take me seriously, and it becomes just them setting things on fire, like you said, and like nobody cares, and like that can be a hard place to be in, because a lot of people want to play these games with their best friends, but sometimes you got to kind of look at the scenario, look at the situation, look at what, like, be honest with what kind of game you want to play. And if your best friends aren't into playing that kind of game, there's so many resources out there to find groups, individuals that maybe want to play your style. Like, Start Playing Games. It's a great community online. It's a website where, whether you're a player or a DM, if you're a player, you can go on the site and find various games that DMs are hosting that you can be a part of, for beginners, for experienced people, various levels, various systems, all that stuff. Same if you're a new DM, you could set up a channel there and be like, new DM, learning to DM, who wants to like, help me experience this game. So that's what I would kind of say for people trying to get into that, take on that GM seat, is one side of it, just dive in, just go for it, have a fun time, know that you're not going to be perfect and you'll make mistakes, but everyone's there to support you and for you to have a good time. And if you are looking to get more on the professional side, just like do your research, look at what's out there, see what the kind of bar is kind of set for that kind of industry, and just find creative people, individuals that want to go on that journey with you and take it that seriously, and just see where it takes you.
Phenomenal. All right. I'm going to stop bugging you with all of my silly questions. Tell us tell everyone, wow, it's Monday. I'm sorry. Tell everyone where we can find you on all the social medias.
Yeah. So, my online name is DiceCream Sandwich, real name, Kevin Parr. You can pretty much find me online on most socials at DiceCream Sandwich, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, right now on. So I've been obviously focusing a lot on the Questline studio and their Twitch, where this Dragonlance game is living currently. But I do have my own Twitch where we have been streaming games for, the last 2 years. Currently, we have my friend and former player from my first homebrewed campaign that ended not that long ago. Game Raider girl Ivy is hosting a bunch of awesome games on our Twitch channel, where she is the GM and telling a lot of her stories with other great creators in the D&D sort of TikTok, Instagram community. So you can catch content on there. You can catch up with Dragonlance on the Questline, Twitch, and YouTube. But otherwise, all socials at DiceCream Sandwich.
Awesome. And I am Heather Hurt. Make sure you subscribe to our channel where we rule the world. That is us at the NRW. Thank you guys. And thank you, Kevin, so much for your time. Hit that subscribe button. Bye.
Bye.